All right, we are moving on in our notes. We're going to be talking today about evaluating expressions. This is our standard. We are in our unit for expressions. And so, evaluating expressions, what does this mean? Well, the word evaluate means that we are going to find a solution. So you should have your paper out, taking these notes so that you can be prepared for the practice. Now, what is an expression? An expression is just a mathematical statement. For example, a mathematical statement could simply be 2 plus 3. Now, an algebraic expression would be something like x plus 3, or 3 times x, or 10 times y. So these are some examples of expressions, whether numerical or algebraic. Now, we're just going to be evaluating expressions, algebraic expressions, and finding solutions. So before we begin that, let's talk about a vocabulary word that is very important. And that word is variable. Now, what is a variable? So let's write this down. A variable is a symbol, usually a letter, used to represent a number. So a variable is usually a letter, it's a symbol, usually a letter, used to represent a number. And so this is going to make a lot more sense as we go through some different example problems. So let's start with some examples. So the first example I want to do is 3 plus m. And I want to give some information because right now I can't do anything with 3 plus m because I'm not sure what m is equal to. So let me tell you what m is equal to. Let's imagine m is equal to 4. All right, if m is equal to 4, well, 3 plus m, I can just replace this m with the number 4. So let's go ahead and do that. That changes this problem to 3 plus 4, and my answer is now 7. So 3 plus m, when m is equal to 4, my solution, when I evaluate the expression, is 7. So let's try another example. Let's try z minus m. So already we know m is equal to 4, but let's imagine z is equal to 9. So m is equal to 4 and z is equal to 9. So what are we going to do with these values? We're just going to replace them. We're going to substitute z for 4 and substitute the m for 9. So we're just going to replace these values with the numbers that we have in our substitution. So z is equal to 9 and m is equal to 4. So 9 minus 4 is just 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 5. All right, that's simple enough with adding and subtracting. Let's try another example, but this time it's going to be a multiplication problem. So let's imagine we have 12 R. So what does that mean? 12R. Is it, what are we doing with this R? All right, so let's talk about this. Whenever I have a letter and a number right next to each other, that means multiplication. I could also rewrite this as 12 times R with the dot, or I could write it with parentheses. 12 parentheses R. Now think about it. Why would I not want to write it like this? Think about it for 5 seconds. Why would I not want to write it like this? Well, the reason I don't want to write it like this is because this times, this x, looks like another variable. So I don't want to put an x for multiply because it confuses, is that a variable or is that multiplication? So as we're dealing with variables in our problems, you're most likely not going to see x for multiplication. You're most likely going to see letters and numbers right next to each other, a dot, or numbers in parentheses. So you won't see this method too often anymore. So now we have 12 times R. Well, what is R? R is equal to 1/6. So let's say R is equal to 1/6. So let's plug it in. 12 times 1/6. So what can I put under the 12 to make it a fraction? All right, I can put a 1. So 12/1 times 1/6 would be 12 times 1, 12, 6 times 1, 6, and 12 divided by 6 gives me my answer of 2. All right, so 12 times R, when R is equal to 1/6, your solution is 2. All right, let's do a couple more problems. All right, the next problem is 4m minus 2. 4m minus 2. So we're using the same list of values. M is equal to 4. All right, so I'm just going to replace the m with a 4. So now let me show you about a common mistake. Some people might plug in the 4 and they're like, okay, 44 minus 2. Is that correct? What did we just say? When a number and a variable are right next to each other, this means to multiply. So I can't just say 44. I need to multiply 4 times 4. And remember that dot means to multiply. We have 4 times 4. And now 4 times 4 is 16. 16 minus 2 gives me 14, leaving me with an answer of 14. So remember, a number and a variable next to each other means to multiply. Don't forget. All right, let's move on to the next problem. 2 more and we'll be done. 60R minus 4. 60R minus 4. Well, what is R equal to? R is equal to 1/6. All right. So you might ask yourself, well, how did we know to multiply 4 times 4 first before we subtracted the 2? Remember, you have to use your order of operations. All right, remember to use PEMDAS. All right, and we multiplied and then subtracted because multiplication comes before subtraction. So now let's do the same thing with this next problem. 60 times r minus 4. So I'm going to replace this r with 1/6. So times 1/6 minus 4. And I want to rewrite 60 as a fraction since I'm multiplying by a fraction. I'm going to go ahead and put 60 over 1. All right, so let's take a look at this problem. What am I going to do first? Well, thinking about my order of operations, PEMDAS, my multiplication comes first. So I'm going to multiply straight across. 60 times 1 is 60, and 1 times 6 is 6. So I have 60 divided by 6 minus 4. All right, I've done my multiplication. Now, there's something I still need to do here. Now this says 60 divided by 6. So let's do our division. 60 divided by 6 is 10. So 10 minus 4. Now I'm left with my last operation, and 10 minus 4 is 6. Last problem. Let's throw some exponents in there. So now let's imagine my problem is 3r squared. And we know r is still equal to 1/6. All right, so we have some multiplication here with 3 next to r. We have an exponent squared. So let's try this. I'm going to go ahead and replace my r with 1/6. And we have 1/6, I'm going to put in parentheses, to the second power. So what am I going to do first? Parentheses, exponents, multiplication, division, addition, subtraction. I have a parentheses, but there's nothing in the parentheses for me to do. So, no parentheses. Do I have exponents? I sure do. So 1/6 is to the second power. So I'm going to rewrite this problem as 3 times 1/6 times 1/6. Why did I do that? Well, think about it. 1/6 is to the second power. So I'm going to have to multiply 1/6 2 times to take it to the second power. And now I'm also going to put 3 over 1 since I'm dealing with fractions. And now I can multiply straight across. 3 times 1 is 3, times 1 is still 3. 1 times 6, 6 times 6, 6 times 6 is 36. Now can I simplify this? I sure can. I can divide by 3, divide by 3, divide by 3. 3 divided by 3 is 1, and 36 divided by 3 is 12. And we are left with our answer of 1/12 when r is equal to 1/6. All right. Ask any questions that you have. We're going to begin our practice in the work session.